Hey there, Yurii is here, and welcome to Community Life. Here we talk with the amazing humans from the community world about their life journeys and learn from each other. And today is a special episode. It was never the case before. We have Fihmiya, we have Nicola, we had each community life conversation with each of them. And today it's three of us asking each other questions and getting to know more about each other. So, just to remind if you didn't see, so Fihmiya's episode was number 68, Nicola's episode was number 74. Just a little bit of gap between, but not that much. And today we'll have fun and getting to know, asking, the funniest thing that it's not just me today who asks questions, but Fihmiya and Nicola will also ask questions, and not just for each other, but also for me. And we will have this chat with three of us. So let's do it. Let's start. Let's create a pass. Hey, Fihmiya. Hey, Nicola. How are you?
Good. How are you, Yurii? Thank you for having us.
I'm so pumped up. I'm so pumped up. The moment we discussed it in the comments on LinkedIn that we will have conversation with three of us, I was like, wow, two of my amazing people from the community world talking together. Can something be more beautiful than it is?
I know. What a
Definitely.
treat to get to speak to you both for 60 minutes.
I know. Two of my
Yes.
favorite humans.
So let's go with the flow. Let's start with questions. I know that you, Fimi, and you, Nicola, you prepared some questions for each other. I hope that you prepared some questions for each
hmm
other.
I got a few.
Let's start. Let's start. Let's start. So, Nicola, what question do you have?
Well, I've got one for both of you because one thing about both of you that I find really inspiring is how consistent you are with your content output. And I wondered, do you have a kind of tactic for keeping yourself going? If there's a day when you're like, oh, I just cannot be bothered to do something today, what do you tell yourself?
I know that Fimia is, if you are talking about consistency, Fimia is the person to go because every post on LinkedIn, everything she does, I don't know how it works. It feels like Fimia, you are living on LinkedIn. So tell us more about that.
It does seem, and that's a really great question, Nicola. It does seem like I may live on LinkedIn. However, I have learned through friends and mentors. It's a matter of, I know a lot of people like to say balance, but I like to say harmony. What works for me and my schedule, my time, my energy, and my bandwidth. And of course, I have to be very realistic about how much time I can give and what's sustainable. So I have decided to go with 3 times a week. That's as much as I can do on posting on LinkedIn. And then the other 2 days that I'm not posting, I either may be engaging or I may be consuming content. I'm still building relationships in the DMs, comments, but there has to be a nice harmony because otherwise you'll burn out pretty quickly. And then I time block. I time block, okay, for me, this is how much time you have right now. Book out maybe 20 minutes, do what you need to do, and then go back and finish your task. But at the same time, what I also do is for those that have engaged on my post, I go ahead and I make it a point at some point during the week to go back and engage because if they took that precious time of theirs to engage in my post, it only makes sense to go and do that for them as well because we talk about engagement, right? Community managers that we need to engage and I think we need to live up to those expectations of what we expect our members and our audience to do as well.
It's so fun. I love the word engagement because when two people are getting together, are also engaged. So
Mhm.
it's crazy. Like, how can we
Mhm.
engage with somebody? Like, I'm already married. How can I engage with somebody
Mhm.
else? It's just impossible. And for me, ah, you know, people are saying like, "Oh, you're so consistent. You're doing like 90 between two work hours or 80 community life conversation or whatever." And how do you do that? Do you plan? I have no plan. There is like just one plan. Just do one thing right now. Just do one step, and and then the next step, and then the next step, and then like 2 years later, here is a consistency. So basically, it's it's something, people are always thinking about the overnight success, But I
Mm-hmm.
learned that it's impossible. If you track the path back of every, let's say, star in the world, of every actor, every singer, every businessman, whatever, like they were not just woke up and like famous, yeah. So it was they were doing a lot of things before, prior to that, and they're keeping doing it constantly and thinking like, okay, if I have two ways to go, which way should I go? And if they're going one way and it doesn't work, it's okay to back and pivot and go another way and then find what to do next. So for me, it's always like just doing one step after another and see where we happen. And what I learned 2 years ago, I always knew that it's all about people, but 2 years ago, I especially learned that if you are with great people, if you're having good conversations, if you are real human, life would be amazing. Life will be
Mm-hmm.
amazing,
Yeah.
and the funniest thing is that you don't have to compete with anyone. You have
Mm-hmm.
to be yourself. The only one person you can compete with is yourself. And it's the hardest, for me, it was the hardest mindset that I don't really have to compete with all those amazing people I see. We can collaborate, we can do things together, but I can compete only with myself. And if I'm getting the
Mm-hmm.
better version of myself another day, I already succeeded, and it's the best way to do that. And I'm curious, Nicola, why did you ask this question?
Because it's something that both of you kind of comes to mind for me is that, you're great at putting out this consistent stuff, but it really speaks to your personality and who you are as well. It's not run-of-the-mill content. It really speaks to your soul, which I love. But I think as well to your point about creating stuff, if you're having fun doing it, then it just keeps going, doesn't it? Because if you probably, getting to chat with community people for 60 minutes, I mean, who wouldn't want to put that in their diary every week?
Mm-hmm. But Nicola, I would love to hear your thoughts. Like, how do you remain in harmony with the content that you put out there and the things that you do? Because I know you got two
Well,
little ones too.
I
I'm sure
know.
they
Well,
keep you
that I
busy.
think, consistency is not something I would say is high up there on my list, but I do keep going with it. And for me, it's just about kind of sharing things that I'm interested in as well, that I think other people will be interested in, that have a little bit of fun to them as well, because everybody wants to engage with content that's going to make them smile.
Hmm. And you had both of you actually made really good points about the content being fun, lighthearted, reducing the friction, but making it relatable. Yurii, when you were talking about, I don't need to compete. We don't need to compete with people because there's plenty of room for us at the table. If we can learn to collaborate and contribute and find ways to work together, we can do so much and build on that. So when we're looking at what everybody else is doing, we kind of forget about our own unique style, our own way of doing things, our own way of being creative and stop following what everybody else is doing, but shift right back and center yourself back on your purpose and your why. Why did you show up in the first place? What is that? I think we need to figure that out with our own values. I mean, that's how I figured it out for myself. And I'm a rebel. I'm just I think it's because I'm a middle child. um, but I never did what everybody else was doing because I'm like, well, how else am I going to stand out if I'm doing all of what everybody else is doing? But if I can pull it back here, center it back on me, and focus on what I can do, I know that the right people will be attracted to that vibe and energy. And when I can find them, they are the people that I do want to collaborate and work alongside with. It's like that magnet. And you too, that's how I gravitated to the both of you. Just got that energy. So infectious.
It's energy. It's all about energy. And the fun thing is that sometimes you just click
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes you just go. And the craziest thing about that it's hard to keep your friendship. It's hard to keep talking with each other. It's hard to keep exchanging DMs because, for example, if you have, let's say, 100 people you want to talk to, it's just impossible to talk to every person
Mm-hmm.
like a week during a week and I remember I had this it was another podcast, was Freelance Thrive or Freelance Sucks, and Aaron Peters told me that whenever she had a person on her mind, she messages this person right away. Like no
Mm,
matter what, just, hey, you were on my mind. That's why I'm writing you. Like, how are you? What's going on in your life? And these small moments, that's exactly what helps to continue building these conversations and keep these relations. And for me personally, even seeing like people on LinkedIn, not even seeing their posts, but even seeing their comments makes me want to jump into this conversation. So if Fihmiya does a post and Nicola comments on that, it makes me, it's like double motivation for me to, do something, to write my comment, to answer to Nicola, to answer to Fihmiya. So yeah, it's very interesting, and about exactly about fun. Sometimes it's not fun. Sometimes making posts on LinkedIn is not fun. And I
mhm.
had this experience starting from the beginning of 2023. And I don't remember exactly till September or till October. I did like one post every work day.
Mm,
And the first few months, I enjoyed it. And then I was like, what should I talk about?
yeah.
What should I share? And the crazy thing that I started thinking, what do people want to hear from me? The moment you think that way, what do people want to hear from me? Either you are becoming super popular because you are breaking the code of people's minds and you do exactly what they want from you, but usually you're going insane because you start to overthink, you start to
Hmm.
overcomplicate. The moment you start doing this, it's not fun anymore. So
Yeah, you can't force it. I think I've definitely had this a similar journey to you where I was like, I've got to post every day. People say you got to post every day, let's do it. And then you think, no way, this is not sustainable. And I'm struggling to write things. So yeah, when it comes, write it down, put it out there, but don't force it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because and that's the thing too, when I see posts that say you should do this, and I'm not a fan of the word should. If it's something that's an absolute necessary, gotta do it, it's so important, maybe I'll use that word. But to me, should is like forced, it's pressured, and it adds stress on people that they don't need. And I tell people, I'm like, I don't post every day and I still get great engagement. I said that's what works for me. There was a point where I was starting to burn out. I was so mentally exhausted. I disappeared off of LinkedIn for about a week because I was just mentally blocked. I'm like, I can't think of anything else that I could possibly post, but at the same time, I'm not feeling it. So me, I'm a feeler. So if I don't feel a post, I won't do it. Even if I told myself 3 days a week and I'm not vibing with it, I'm just not going to do it because I don't want to force my interaction with you, Yurii, or you, Nicola, or anyone else, because I would say that we're pretty intuitive. We can smell when something is not genuine or authentic. But to say that you need to post 6, 7 times, no. I'm not a fan of that. You do what works for you and what's sustainable. Yeah, not all, we don't live the same life and experiences either. So that's something people need to be mindful of. We don't have the same schedules.
Mia, when you were away for 1 week, did anyone notice it?
That's a great question. The ones who constantly showed up, the ones that always supported my posts, the ones that I would pretty much always engage with, and that did have my cell number and became a mentor or a really good friend, they did check up on me. And then a few other, I mean, and there were others that didn't, and it wasn't their fault because sometimes your post doesn't pop up on their feed, so they wouldn't know. But there were the ones that I really did appreciate, and they're the ones that I always make sure that I do check in on. The ones that actually took that moment in time to say, hey, for me, are you okay? That's it. It didn't take much. Are you okay? Whether it was a DM or a text, email, I was still very grateful that they actually noticed that I was MIA because I kind of slid under the radar. I didn't want to be like, oh, well, I'm leaving. No, I mean, I needed to go. I needed that moment to disappear.
So I guess, Fihmiya, you have some questions to Nicola.
Well, actually, to both of you. So this one is, to really kind of learn more about you guys. So one of the questions I came up with is, what's the most interesting place you visited and what made it memorable? It could be like a fun place. It doesn't have to be like out
Mm.
of the country, out of the state. I mean, what's
Yeah.
something you're just like, ooh, this was really fun. I would love to go back and
I have
experience
two
this.
two very different ones jump to mind. Like chalk and cheese, but one was so I went to India for a couple of weeks and that was amazing because it's, so different to Europe and so colorful and amazing and such a different way of life. And even, the air feels so different because of the humidity. And that was just an incredible experience that I'll never forget. And then the other place that springs to mind, this one you were like, this kind of really interesting place. But when I went to Berlin, I went to Berghain. And I don't know if you guys know Berghain, but it's a very famous nightclub in Berlin. In fact, I went to a few nightclubs in Berlin that are like super interesting. And the stuff I saw in there, I will never ever forget. But I can't tell you too much more than that.
Oh man, you can't do that. No, I'm not a creative good
Just
person.
think,
I'm like, that's like a tease. That's
a
like
kind
a,
of wild parties, wild
oh, okay.
parties.
Yeah.
Um, the kind of stuff that is it's like walking into the kind of clubs that some you would imagine like in a movie or something where it's just
Ah,
so wild and you're just like, wow, okay.
like, am I really witnessing this? Am
It
I
kind of
really
feels, yeah,
here?
where it felt quite surreal going in, but like super cool. But yeah, yeah.
And the next day, I will never tell anyone about this. Like, never.
Yeah.
Just us.
That's how it works. That's how it works. Yeah, Nicola, after you told me about secret parties, I'm not surprised.
Yeah. How about you, Yuri?
Yeah, I was thinking a lot, the fun thing that uh, I always say to my wife that she is the brain, I'm hands, and she discovers some things to do, and she always keeps this in her mind. She do a lot of thought processes, and then I'm just doing it, and we have this collaboration. And for me, it was always hard to go travel somewhere.
Mm,
So, just it's not the hard the moment we travel, but it's hard like to plan, to buy tickets, to go to check what place to go because of like, there are always expectations. Oh, what if this place will not be good or whatever. Anyway, our first trip to Greece with my wife and my kid, and I still remember, first of all, I was amazed that it's even possible that in the morning you are in Kiev and there is no sea, there is like mediocre summer, and then in 2 hours you are somewhere near the sea, and you have fun, a lot of fun, and you enjoy your holiday. And the moment, so it was our first trip, like it was hot in Kiev, it was hot in airport. We were so tired of this trip, even though it was like 3 4 hours, like not that much. But the moment we came to the hotel, and before going, I feel like it was lunch or dinner. I guess it was dinner time. So we came to the beach, and there were practically nobody there because people already went to the dinner, and we were almost ourselves in like in the whole beach, and we just like this feeling of the warm sea. And we were just, relaxing. We're just there, and nobody's here, and it's so calm. It's so nice, and we're like, yes, we made it. We made it. Our first trip outside. We made it. Yes. And it's a fun thing that we traveled a lot after that, but I've never had the same feeling ever again. So it was just for the first time. And, every time it's different feeling, but I can definitely remember this one.
so you
You've
I want to
taken
ask
me,
you,
you've taken me
yeah,
there right now.
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
yeah, I want to
exactly.
know
Out
what
of
what what do you think made that more memorable than anything else? What was, I mean, it sounds like an amazing trip and it's special, but what was it about that trip that really stuck with you?
I feel like it's for the first time. You always remember something that happens for the first time. People has their first experience, And after that, they can't add anything. So it's hard to change your first experience. And that's exactly why some people have bad relationships, they have to open up again, or it's hard for them. So I feel like as far as I understood my brain, I feel like it's all about this first experience, and that we finally made it. It was like breakthrough. Like, okay, Yurii is finally outside. Yay.
How about you, Fihmiya?
Ooh, so for me, I would have to say the most memorable place was when I did visit Europe for the very, very first time. It was my first out of the country experience, and my friends and I, on a whim, decided to go. It was because I was working with adult-based learners that were in Italy. So the more I was talking to them and we were building this relationship, and it wasn't just about work. I would ask them, what they like to do. And when they started talking about their culture and, the foods out in Italy, the more I just became like, oh my gosh, I need to go. And I'm not joking when I tell you, I called my friend, and because I was so excited about the conversations I was having with them, the energy came right into the conversation with my other friend who's also a traveler. And when I brought it up, I was like, do you think we can manage going to Europe while I'm still teaching my learners? And she's like, do you think you can make it work? I'm like, well, I'm going to figure it out. And I did. And that's a story I really haven't told anyone is while I was teaching them, I actually took them on the trip with me to their home country, but also Turkey and Greece at the same time. I called the company, we figured it out, managed it. My members were like ecstatic. So to me, taking them to Europe was probably one of the best experiences, but places. And if I had to pinpoint one of the countries, it was Italy by far. The people, the food. I just felt like I was back home. It was just so relaxed. They're very family oriented, but also they like to talk to people. They like to have conversations, which I appreciated. So yeah, I still to this very day will think about the food, the people I met, the places, the sea, um, the rocks, Rome. I mean, you name it, the architecture, everything about it just comes to me. And this was about maybe, gosh, 3 years ago, but I still remember it like it was yesterday. And if I had a chance, I would go. But it was also my learners that actually made it memorable because they were taking me through their homeland and they would tell me what places to go eat at. So they were my guides through my phone, taking me and asking
Mm.
me, what am I enjoying? Where am I at? Do you need a translator? So I thought that in itself, I'm like, that's just an experience that I don't know if I could ever have again. Maybe I could, but I'm always going to appreciate the one that I had with them and I got to share it. So that's what made it extra, extra special.
It sounds
I
like it.
think,
Yeah, go on, Nicola.
I was going to say, I think as well, when you go to a country and you have nationals showing you around, you get to see the best bits, go to the
Mm-hmm.
best places to eat. So you always have a very good experience, I think, when you do that.
Yeah. And they
I
told
want
me, they're like, Fihmiya, don't go to the tourist areas. I'm like, well, where do I go eat, Buka? They're like, Fihmiya, go eat to the in the hole in wall places, the places that people normally would not go. And I tell you, I had the best food ever. Because when you know that everybody's going there, like, maybe I want to try something different. And I did. And we had the best experience doing that. I'm like, they were my like personal guides. Yeah, super cool.
No, it's fun that you told about go to places that other people doesn't go, and I immediately had this thought in my mind. If somebody asked me where to go in Kiev, where would I take those people? And I was like, yeah, I know three pizza places. So,
Hmm.
and I'm curious, do you, Fimia, and do you, Nicola, have this places where you'd like to take somebody?
Yeah, I think, well, I moved to the countryside about a year and a half ago now. So I think if anybody came to visit me, I would take them around all the lovely places in Norfolk now that I'm getting to know. It's very much a sort of calm country life out here. It's been all, I have not been away from London too long, but things change so quickly when you go there. Like places change, and I'm not sure I'd know all the places in London to take people these days, but I'd ask around. How about you guys?
I would do the same. I would ask around. Like here in Detroit, Detroit has grown so much in the heart of it. It's beautiful. And what's really nice about the area is that there's restaurants that will fit pretty much anyone's taste buds. There's Cuban, Middle Eastern, Italian, German, I mean, you name it, which is really nice. If Indian, if you're feeling a certain type of way and you want something, it's there. But also, Michigan has some really beautiful places that I have yet to explore. But some of them that I have is the further that you travel up north, because we're surrounded by the Great Lakes. There's the sand dunes, the arches. I mean, it's just, I'm always in awe when I see places that I have not visited up in the UP, um, that I need to go. So if I tell people you want to travel to Michigan and really like absorb all of it, go up north. For me, it would take me probably about 4 hours or more just to hit those spots. But they're a nice getaway by the water and the towns, the small quaint towns, where you can do like the antique shopping, all of that stuff. It's like, does this really exist here in Michigan? But yeah, it's there. It's really
I'm
nice.
always amazed when I see the pictures of the lakes, the
Yes.
Michigan lakes, but I mean, they're amazing because they look like the sea. They just
Hmm.
so big, aren't they? And you can't see the end. I find that
Yeah.
that's weird to me.
Mackinac Island is really, really nice. If you ever want to stay on an island, you would have to take a ferry. Um, there, people do bike rides. I did a bike ride around the island, which was beautiful. I'm like, wow, this is just, I had to really just soak it in and sit there and appreciate all the surroundings. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. I do have a funny story that went with that island, though.
Okay, we got to hear it now.
So I know, so for me, so I went to those boutiques, and anyone that's into that stuff, we know that there's certain things that you cannot find back home, maybe that you would find in these boutiques because they're probably a one-time item created. So I went to the shop. I really wanted some really cute sandals, found them, found a really nice pair at this boutique, and they were pretty expensive. And I was like, oh, I'm so excited. I didn't have anywhere to go. I put it in my bike basket, in my bike basket. I'm like, that's the only way I'm going to carry it around is in my bike basket. Um, but I'm like, hey, you got to do what you got to do. So I went around the island. We had a lot of fun. When I came back, because we were so excited to do the next activity, it wasn't until we were back into the other city of Escoda, which is 3 hours from Mackinac Island. I remembered that I left my shoes there, you guys. And when I tell you what
No.
yes, I was so sad. I know people are like, well, it's just a pair of shoes, but I'm like, you don't understand. They were special. I bought it for a lot of money. But anywho, I actually called them to get it back. I was like, when there's a will, there's a way, but I'm going to find a way to do it. And they did. They mailed it to me when I went all the way back home, which was another 6 hours. So I thought that was funny that I would leave it there, but at the same time, it was really nice and thoughtful at the same time. I get myself in a lot of things.
Do you still wear the shoes?
I do. I have them. They're super cute. I'll have to show it to you guys at some point. Not on the video, but maybe on the side as a picture.
How could you didn't prepare? Why you didn't prepare those shoes? You have okay, I'm kidding. Nicola, what question do you have to Fihmiya?
Why? Well, I love to ask people this question, and it is, what would be your last supper or your dream supper? I think t traditionally people say, what would be your death row supper, but that feels a bit morbid. So this is just, your dream dinner, your starter, main, and dessert.
Oh, starter, main, and dessert. Okay, so I love a really, really good salad. When I talk about salad, I'm talking about the leafy greens, the cranberries, the blue cheese, the almonds, you name it, and like the raspberry vinaigrette. I'm very particular. I like when I know what I want. When I'm craving something and I know it, I'm going to get it. So that's that's the starter. It wouldn't be a bad thing to add like a basket of bread to that as well. And then as far as the course, Italian, I love pasta. I absolutely love pasta. If you can add in sauteed mushrooms in my pasta and maybe grilled chicken or breaded chicken. That would be something I would crave. It has to be pasta. I don't care what topping. Oh, sun-dried tomatoes would be nice. And then as far I know, Yuri's like, Mia really knows what she wants to eat. I do.
Yeah.
So what happens when you taste real authentic Italian food when you go to Italy? It sticks with you. And then as far as dessert, I love chocolate. Like a nice chocolate creamy mousse cake. Maybe raspberry.
Yummy.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that salad combination. I'm going to try that out.
It's so good. If you can find one with feta cheese, but I like blue cheese. It adds a type of flavor to it, like a nice taste. It just hits the spot. Now I'm really craving one. Thank you, Nicola.
And what would yours be, Yurii?
Yeah, it's fun because I would say that my tastes changed a lot because of this influence of different cultures. And there is sushi, there is pizza, there is
Mm,
pasta, there are a lot of additional food things. And crazy thing, but I really like when my wife cooks a potato. So how she does it, she boil it a little bit, then she cut it in four pieces and put it into oven. And it's like this very tasty one. And the fun thing that I also like just cutlets, just this meat kind of things. And if I have this potato and cutlet and maybe um let's say mint tea, it would be
mm,
enough, basically. And for dessert, yeah, so crazy. But once again, it depends. I would say any kind of cake that
mm,
is possible, but it's very important that there are natural ingredients because when you buy cakes in shops, there are a lot of palm oil and all the stuff, and you can feel it. I can feel it. So
mhm.
if it's natural cake, that's why I always tell my wife, you taught me to eat your cakes. After that, I can't buy any other cakes anywhere. It's just impossible. Why did you do that to me?
So she's baking cakes all the time for you now.
The fun thing that not all the time. So that's the beauty in it. So that makes you value it even more because you get those cakes like twice a year or something like that. So it makes them more tasty because you have to wait for them, you have to crave for them, and then you eat them like, oh my God, it's the best meal ever. So yeah, I'm pretty simple. I'm pretty simple. And if it's anything else, like simple pizza will go, simple sushi will simple. Yeah.
I love sushi. Are you a
Me
sushi fan,
too.
Nicola?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely. I love it. I mean, I'm vegetarian most of the time, but I love sushi and
Did you
seafood.
ever did you ever do them by yourself?
One
Mm.
time I did, and you have this mat and you roll it. This was ages ago. I did a little class. It's not easy.
Is it the hard part? Is the rice part that is it the folding part that makes it difficult or?
Yeah, it
Okay.
doesn't stick together, and then you roll it, and then boop, it all falls apart again.
I have a fun story that once our friends invited us to them, and we agreed that everyone will prepare sushi and we will have the sushi evening. So they preparing sushi, we are preparing sushi. So we with my wife, we went to a specific shop where you can buy stuff for sushi. We bought a lot of different things, because we went to restaurants, we know what they put there, bought a lot of things. We prepared like, I don't know, three or four types. It was like using like this tasty cucumber in their sushi, and it was like, okay, it works. And the fun thing that uh, it was a friend of my wife, and her husband really likes our sushi more, but he had to eat their sushis. Otherwise, he couldn't avoid a scandal after that. So You can imagine this feeling when you want something, but you know that you have to do exactly
Mhm.
the opposite. It
And
was
what
really
was your trick to getting it so tasty?
no, we just did it as the same way as we t tried it in restaurants. So we just remember what types of sushi we liked, and we tried to replicate them. So basically, yeah, and it's fun, but sometimes when you want to cook something special, it sounds hard, but
Mhm.
there are so many recipes on the internet. You can basically do anything you want and a little bit of practice, and you'll be this great chef. So it's
It's
not
too
that
bad we're
hard.
not neighbors. Mm.
Not that hard. Yeah, but if you really want, because when my like once again, it's always about my wife. She always cooks. I cook from time to time, but I love eat her food, and she always tries to make it, first of all, not exactly how it's on a recipe. She always add a little bit of her thoughts because she has experience and definitely she know what might taste better. And the fun thing, if she will make the same cake for the same recipe like 10 times, every time it will be different. And I can't say it will be better or worse, it will be just different. So it's the funniest part. So I get never tired, of having different meals.
Well, baking is a very precise art form, but for me, I know you're quite a baker. So what's your favorite thing to bake?
Ooh, yes, bake. I would rather bake than cook. I can cook, but I would rather bake. It depends on my mood. I bake a really good carrot cake. Biscoff cheesecake is one of my favorite things to make. That I really liked doing. And then also I make really good banana bread. And then when I talk about banana bread, I'm like you, Yuri. I taste when something's very heavy with the preservatives. So I like the very whole ingredients in that, which is why I like baking some of my stuff as opposed to going to buy it. And if I can get away with baking anything with chocolate, I will. But I'm also really great at baking Middle Eastern sweets, the cookies, the pastries that you see, the baklava, depending on what that is. I'll do it. But I only make those during like our holiday and stuff because it is time consuming. But yeah, I love to bake. That's why if you both were my neighbors, you would find goodies on your porch. Not every
Oh, I would love
morning,
that.
but like fresh, warm, have it with your tea or coffee or what you prefer to drink with it. Yeah, I
That's
love
that's
to
that's
bake.
how you know that you want to be Fihmiya's neighbor.
I've
Yes,
had a few. When
please.
people have parties, they'll be like, Fihmiya, so what are you bringing? Baked goods?
By the
I'm
way,
like,
talking
sure, why
about
not?
parties, I
Mhm.
know backstory of Nicola's parties, and
Mhm.
she partied hard. Let's face it. Fihmiya,
Mhm.
what about you? What was the hardest party you have? Craziest party?
Me? Ooh, so I love to dance. So if you were to invite me to a Middle Eastern party, because I love the music, I love the dancing, and I'm really great at it, you will find me on the dance floor all night. I will eat. I will go to my table just to eat and get a sip of water, but you'll find me right back on the dance floor. And I'm just there jamming. I mean, I meet people on the dance floor. It's not just at the table, you know, it's on the dance floor. So yeah, I dance hard, Yuri and Nicola, when there's music. It's like, bye guys, I'll be there.
That sounds fun.
Mhm.
How about you, Yuri?
By the way, I noticed that Nicola, let me ask you first. I didn't ask you about your party routine. You told about those secret parties and all this stuff, but you didn't tell what was your routine. Like, what did you do there? So, how
Mm.
looked like usual Nicola's party?
Oh, me? Or
Yeah,
are you
I
talking about
mean,
Nicole? Oh.
yeah, no, it's just I guess the routine is pretty simple, really, because you're just going to these parties. Usually, well, you go because there's some DJs playing that you like most of the time. Sometimes you're just in a city, like, if you're in Berlin and the club's well known, you just go to experience the club. But usually that's why you've booked to see these DJs. So you'll turn up and you'll make sure you've screenshotted the set list on your phone to photos in case there's no signal. Um, and then you just, warm up a little bit. Usually it's pretty much just stay on that dance floor until the end. I mean, there's not really a whole lot else to do anyway once you get to a club. So yeah, it's get there, stay on the dance floor. I'm not one of the people that likes to get right to the front. I like to have a little bit of space around me. So I'm more of like a side or back of the dance floor dancer. But
I
yeah,
saw
that's
that
it.
you were
And
going
sometimes
to stage. Exactly.
yeah. Some people like to be near the speakers or near the front, but I'd rather just have a little bit of space around me just to dance.
I'd
Got
love to
it.
be at a party with you too. That'd be really fun and interesting to see where
Would
we're at.
be. Sounds like we have some different styles going on, but that's okay. Maybe we
We'll
could.
make it work.
The fun part is that I will be that person who sits and eats all the time.
Right.
So because when others are dancing, I can really try different kind of food. I can relax. Nobody is asking me to do something. Nobody wants anything from me. I'm just relaxing. I'm just having food. I'm just sitting there. And the fun and also the hard part, you can't have conversations during parties. It's just impossible. You have to be really loud, or you have to go out if you want to talk to somebody. So yeah, I'll be this kind of person who is like having a lot of food and then going out from time to time to exchange some words with people. And yeah, so I'm not that dense. And which is great, you'd be dancing, I'd be eating. That's how it works. I can see, Fihmiya, that you want to ask another question.
I do. So this question is almost on the same wavelength, but it's going to probably obviously be answered in two different ways from the both of you. So the two are Nicola, I know that you're working on a really amazing project. You posted twice about it, I believe, but I want to know like what really inspired that project and made it come to life? Like what made you think of like that light bulb moment? Like, I really want to do this. This is something I know that could work and it can grow. So that's that. And then Yurii, almost along the same lines as Yurii, what inspired your show? What made you just one day say, I want to do it? Or was it like a buildup of things that you probably already doing, but then you're like, why don't I just have a show? So
Hmm.
whoever wants to start first. I'm just really interested in the backstories of your projects and your shows.
Yeah, you asked Nicola first, so Nicola, please go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Well, for me, it's talking about my village sustainability project, I believe. But
Hmm.
yeah, actually, do you know what? That idea came around maybe like 3 years ago. So it took a long time to sort of make it realize, but obviously with the climate crisis and everything going on, my husband's quite, educated on it as well. His job is actually to do with climate. And we had attended an Earth Day demonstration. It was just a little kind of peaceful protest to raise awareness about 4 years ago, and we took the kids. And then this is where I found out about the people that inspired me to do it. They were called Transition Woodbridge. I was like, this is an amazing organization. We should do this. But at the time, we were living in a much bigger town. And we thought, lovely idea, let's do it at some point. But then when we moved to a village, it made sense to do it. We had more contacts. It was more a kind of a scale. But the real reason for doing it as well is because I want my kids to know that I did something positive, and also it aligns with my values and makes me feel that even if I'm doing something small, just knowing that I went out there and I tried and role modeling to them, that's why I do it.
I love that because when I see you write about it on LinkedIn, is where I learned about it. I could just feel the passion that you have behind the project. And I meant to ask you sooner how that's coming. Where do you see it going? Like, as far as growing, where else would you like to take it? You want to keep it locally or would you like it to branch out globally? What's your vision on that?
I love how Fihmiya always comes to me with these like big, inspiring ideas. It's amazing. I mean, global might be a little bit ambitious for now, but who knows? I think there's a lot of people already doing amazing, amazing things in that space. So for me, it is really about just engaging people locally because we all know that small things do add up to have a big
Hmm.
impact. And that's really what this is all about. It's about just if everybody did a little bit more of this, a little bit more of this, it can make a really positive impact.
Absolutely. It's those little things that add up and it becomes like a compound impact that just kind of just bursts and starts to grow even further. And I don't think it's ambitious. I mean, yeah, I think it's a big goal, but I don't think it's impossible for you to do. No limits.
Yeah, let's see. Let's see where it
Mhm.
goes.
And Nico, when you were talking, I had this song in my mind. I want to leave my footprints on the sands of time. So it sounds like that way, and I'm
Okay.
curious. So also your project to me, it sounds like definitely no overnight success. It's just a long project, lifelong project. It has to continue. So how does it feel when you don't have quick results and you know that most likely this project will go on after you?
Yeah, I love that you've said that it will keep going because that would be wonderful if that happens. But it's okay for me. I think I made another comment to Laura, our friend Laura Zug, but that it's quite nice to have some projects that go slowly because my work life is very fast, fast, fast. Social life can be really quick. Technology is super quick. So I love having something actually that's slow. Then it slows you down, slows everything down. I mean, arguably, when it comes to kind of trying to improve the climate, then we shouldn't be doing it slowly. We should be acting quickly. But hey, I can only do what I can do. So yeah, it's fine. It's like I mean that gardening analogy, but you sometimes you just have to take time and watch things grow slowly, don't you? And that's all you can do.
Hmm. You plant the seeds. You keep nurturing it and watering it. And anything, like I told you in the comments, anything worth having or doing is going to be a slow build. If you're expecting quick results, you're gonna disappoint yourself and then you're gonna just go right back where you started. But if you are realistic about the timing that you have and you know it's going to be a slow build, it's well worth the investment. It really is. The ROI in it is just priceless. I just love the project idea. I thought it was amazing.
Thank you.
And it also sounds like you have this place where you can go and rest a little bit. Because, when you are doing your work, you always run. And I don't know why, but people expect so fast results, even though everyone is talking about that it's good to slow down. Everyone
Hmm.
still expects fast results. And I feel like it's also, like this good place to come back and like, okay, here we can be who we are. And as Fihmiya told, I feel like it's very important to put those seeds not only like in your actions, but also in minds of others by sharing what
Absolutely.
you are doing.
Hmm.
Because, you can inspire many, many other people. And if, let's say, everyone on the planet would act slow, but just because of amount of people doing that, we would receive really quick results. So it's also about that. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's about math. We can always calculate things and all the stuff. So
Yeah. And then, also Yurii, when we talked about planting the seeds and slowing it down, it's just really important that when we talk about that with people, that like, when we build relationships with people, we don't just connect with, I mean, yeah, instant connect, but that doesn't mean that like I'm going to come right back to you and say, "Hey, I trust you." It's going to take time planting those seeds and really just nurturing it. So it's just being mindful that if you're looking for quick results, you're going to be quite disappointed when you don't get what you're looking for. But if you nurture it, like, Nicola said, great analogy of the garden, then that's when you know the fruits of what you're building is worth having in the long run. It's a long investment, but it's so worth it.
the fun thing that you asked about this community life, what was the idea? And I'm coming really long back because at some point I thought that I'm not, I still can't say that I'm enough. It's always like I have a lot of things going on in my head, like Am I okay? What am I doing? But they are less loud than they were before. And when they were really loud, I was like, okay, what should I change in my life to make things better? And at some point, I started this 5 a.m. waking up, like this book by Robin Sharma, 5 a.m. Club. And I was thinking that if I will wake up at 5 a.m., I will have 2 additional hours in a day before everyone else will wake up and before we are
Mhm.
going to work and to school and whatever. And that's how I can change my life. And the fun thing that uh, there are some people who are creating like communities around this book in different countries and cities. And I had this person, it was Taras, who created this kind of like 5 a.m. club in Ukraine. And I even worked for them a little bit as a community manager, but they called me CEO of 5 a.m. Club, but basically I was community builder. And the fun thing that definitely we led by examples. So at first, the founder did it, and he had like this streak, like 500 days or something like that, waking up at the same time. Then he stopped doing that, but I had conversation with this person, and I was really curious. What is the backstory? And we were talking about podcasting. I didn't know that
Mhm.
it's a thing. I didn't know how it worked. I didn't know how to do that. I had no idea. And that Taras told me that, I want to start a podcast, to talk to people about their
Mhm.
stories, to get to know about how do they achieve results they achieve and all the stuff. And I was like, oh, great idea. I will also start. And it was the sales
Mhm.
hero community. I was like, I will talk to sales experts and learn about their life journey, how they become who they are and all this. And you will be my first guest. So long story short, I had like, I don't know, 15 episodes or up to 20 episodes of the sales hero conversations. He didn't start his podcast. So he just shared
Mhm.
this idea. I was doing this. And then when I started my international community journey, I was like, I want to know people more. I want to connect with people. I want to, you know, learn about their lives because it's easy to learn about somebody's professional experience. You just go to LinkedIn, you see their posts, you see webinars they attend, you can listen to that, you can read their books if they wrote some books, and basically you know how it works. You know what they stands for, you know what to expect from them, but they're humans, yes? And
Mhm.
where is the human part? Because for me, if I, to understand if I can learn from this person, I need to know that we have the same vibe. Because if
Mhm.
somebody is saying something but they are totally different human, like how can I trust somebody who is not the same person as they are, online? So in life they're one person and online they're another. How can I trust this person? So I was like, I will go to community builders, I will ask them about their life journeys, I will learn from them. And it's really an easy way, to have a podcast. It's an easy way to get people to talk to you, to get people to have fun. Because if you ask somebody like, hey, can you jump on a coffee chat? People are like, yeah, yeah, I have my schedule like in 2 months. Please
Mhm.
remind me somewhere, never, sometimes never. And if you're saying, oh, I have this podcast, I want to talk to you, people, yeah, yeah, podcast, sure, sure, let's do it, let's do it. So the fun thing that it was all egoistical, approach. I wanted to know more about people. I didn't think, and I still don't think about amount of views, amount of downloads or whatever. I still want to learn about people, about their life journeys, because that's exactly how you connect with each other. And what I learned after that, I don't know, after 30th conversation or something like that, somebody messaged me on LinkedIn and told like, hey, I've just connected with this person because of this conversation. I didn't know they have this tattoo. And I just messaged them about this and we had this conversation. I was like, oh wow, it's also a way to connect people with each other. Not It's
Mhm.
not only serving my egoistical intentions. So yeah, long story short, and here we are having this conversation with three of us today. And once again, it's the next step. It's developing. I was like, okay, so if these conversations connect people, why
Hmm.
can't we connect people like in real, let's say, life? Yeah, even though it's online, still online, and continue conversations. So it's all about building these human connections. Even though I'm not calling this community, many people telling me that you are building community, and I'm like, no, I'm not. And they're, yes, you do.
In a
You
sense, you
definitely
are.
are.
You are. You're uniting. You're bringing people together, Yurii. And I love what you're doing because I will hold firm to this. We are more than our titles. And that's something we need to break out of because for a very long time, when people would ask me, what do you do? I would always say, community manager, I'm a teacher. But I was like, wait a second, I am more than what I do for work. There are more layers to Fihmiya, to Yurii, to Nicola. Some of us are bakers, some of us are foodies, some of us are adventurers, book readers. We are more, we're passionate about other things. And what I like about what you're doing is you're humanizing these approaches, these conversations, because not everybody can relate to a community manager. So it's kind of like, I guess I got to be a community manager to be on this show. But when you're talking about things other than your job, you're helping people come in. They're like, it's more relatable for people to come in and talk about themselves. You're making them feel like they're a part of your journey. They're contributing. And that's the beauty of these conversations. Sorry, I
You
could go
know,
on so many
the
tangents.
fun thing that it will be, I'll post the next episode near soon. It will be with Said Sadok, and he's not a community builder. He's just so interesting person and such a great human that I just wanted to know more. And the way he acts on LinkedIn, the way he has conversation, he's building community, even
Yeah.
though he doesn't think about that in that way. So I feel like it's not, once again, it's not limited just to community world. It's about people who know how to communicate and how to build relationships with others, with
Hmm.
yeah, how to live this life, because I feel like it's such important skill to know how to get to know others and how to connect people, because we're, yeah, let's face it, people are lonely in this world.
Yeah.
And the moment you find somebody to talk to, the moment you find soulmate, might be the happiest moment of your life. And you know, some people find their soulmates in their partners, in their friends, and some people go to communities to do that. And once again, if you found a soulmate as your partner, doesn't mean that you can't find soulmates in the community, because it's not limited to, you know, one person. Definitely there are some limitations to relationships, for sure. It's clear to that, but in general, yeah, a lot of conversations keeps going on.
Mhm.
And you know, the crazy thing that I really wish to have the sky's the limit, but time is the limit. And it
Mhm.
feels like we just started the conversation and feels like we can continue this conversation. And the beauty of it that we should continue the conversation, and we can see each other everywhere. We can continue that. We can go and comment on LinkedIn. We can catch up on some calls, and we can meet in person if we are in each other's places, in each other's cities. And some people say that online communities, online connections are not the same as offline. And definitely they are not. You know, it's so much better when you, it was fun. I heard it on some podcast. I guess it was David Spink's podcast, when you can see the person, you can feel the person, you can smell the person. And yeah, that's biology. But in general, the more you continue pinging the person, the more you continue exchanging messages, the more you see each other here and there, the more you are building your relationships. And I even won't be afraid to say the word friendship. So
Mhm.
I propose to continue doing that, and I love doing that with you. And yeah, thank you very much for this conversation. And if there is one question you wanted to ask but didn't, let's do it now.
Okay, I have a quick fire one that my 5-year-old was discussing with me. So you just have to pick one answer. Who would win in a fight between a dinosaur and a Pokemon?
Ooh.
I know it's difficult because then you want to say which dinosaur and which Pokemon, but just theoretically.
I would say, how big are they? Who's bigger, the dinosaur? But then again, height shouldn't matter either, right? Or size. Ooh, height. The dinosaur, but it depends on what the dinosaur is. Can I choose what the dinosaur is, like a
Go on then,
T-Rex?
pick your favorite. Yeah, you can pick a T-Rex.
T-Rex. Okay, Yuri, what do you want to say?
I would definitely go for dinosaur. I have no idea why, but it just sounds
Yeah,
very
okay, interesting, interesting. He thought Pokemon because they have special powers, which obviously
Hmm.
dinosaurs don't. But it depends who got in there first, the dinosaur or the Pokemon.
we have to
Tell him
find it
what we
out.
said, and then I want to hear his responses in response to what we said.
Okay, I'll tell him tonight.
Got it. Fihmiya, do you have one question?
Yeah, I'm such a very curious person. My question would be, what was or is the most adventurous thing you've done to date? And if not, what would you like to do?
It's the
I don't have
most
to answer it
adventurous
now
thing.
if you want to think. Yeah. Something you're like, ooh, I really want to do that. I don't know if I can, but that's something I would want to do. So whether you played it out or actually did it, what would be
I think
something?
the thing that's jumping to my mind is I'd love to climb some more mountains. I've climbed Mount Snowdon, which is in Wales in the UK.
Oh,
Although kind of a funny story because I did that 19 weeks pregnant in the middle of a heat wave, and
what?
we ran out of water. We accidentally went the wrong way, well, the scenic way, my husband says, where we had to do two peaks. So by the time I got to the top, I was, you know, ready to pass out. But we survived. We walked the whole way, walked back down again. But yeah, I'd love to climb another mountain. I don't know which one. Don't ask me that. But one of the big famous ones, maybe.
Wow.
And
You're
talking
something interesting, Nicola. That's amazing. And you're pregnant. My goodness. That's resilience right there. She's not giving up. Do it
Stupidity. I
again.
think it was stupidity. Definitely not resilient.
you had
Well, you knew
powers
you
of
have to
two.
go back down. You had to get back where you started.
Had powers of two. And yeah, not that way, but and about me, I had this conversation with Laura Doug, and we agreed that at some point I will plan my European US community tour to meet every community builder in different places. So yeah, it's kind of adventure I would really love to go to, to explore the world, but not just exploring, but also meeting all those people I know online, because for me it would be yeah, one of the best things ever.
Yes, I
Yeah,
can see the Yurii travel show really working out. We just need a production company to buy it and give you loads of money.
literally.
Give
And if
all
you
of
want
us a
two
lot
people
of
to
money.
join, we'll join your
Yeah,
tour for like a
exactly.
season.
Exactly. I will go from town to different people's house, and we will have this community life conversation in real life, like sitting in front of each other, and yeah, understanding that it's not just Zoom, but it's just real. But it's good to dream big, because then
Well, why not?
yeah,
For
exactly.
sure.
And Pimia, what about you?
So I tend to do things that I normally would not do back home, um, and can do without telling my family. So I'm like Nicola. I do like to hike. That's like my favorite thing to do. And there was a really big mountain that I hiked up when I was in Puerto Rico, but I can't think of the name yet or remember it. But what was the most adventurous? I mean, I had a few. I had two. So two quick ones is I zip lined over crocodiles and alligators. That one, I love zip lining. And if it's over something, that's gonna be over something. It is what it is. Um, and then the other one was when I was in Puerto Rico and I went kayaking in the bayou. It was the luminescent water, the ones that where you touch it glows with those microorganisms in the kayak. It was very late at night, and my friend did not know how to kayak. God bless her. When I asked her if she knew how, she said yes. So I trusted her. I trusted her to give me the honest answer. Well, we were supposed to go one way. We went the total opposite. It's so dark. You have the moon shining, beautiful scene that you wish you could appreciate in the moment, that I'm trying to redirect her back to the line of the individuals. So while we were doing that, she tried. We got stuck in a tree, literally stuck in a tree. It was the most It was the funniest experience. I wish it would have been captured on video, but when I was calling for help, I just couldn't breathe because I was laughing so hard. And to this very day, I'll just send her an emoji that's a kayak, and she'll know, and she'll just be like shaking her head. But yeah, that was probably one of the most adventurous. There's several others, but that's for another show.
Got it. Yes, yes. It's amazing to have a friend you can talk to just with one emoji, and you definitely understand what you're talking about. Feels like knowledge for the life. And once again, Fihmiya and Nicola, thank you very much for making it happen. We agreed on this like, I don't know, months ago or something like that. And here we
Mhm.
are, three of us, three amazing people talking to each other, exchanging each other's thoughts, learning more about each other. What could be better? Thank you very much for making it happen.
Thank you. It's been so much fun.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. Thank you, Yurii, for having us, and spending it with the both of you was amazing.
See you in the community world.